All right, the Reds, it's the preview show. We're looking ahead to Liverpool's trip to Wolves on Friday night. It's been a good week, I think. We're still top of the league, so that's good. We can keep looking at a table that shows Liverpool top, 45 points ahead of City. Wolves down in 7th, but a decent record against the top 6 sides so far. They seem to be fancying the chances. They seem to be bigging themselves up and talking about under the lights and Friday night and on the telly. And there's a lot of Liverpool fans losing the shit a little bit about it as well, it seems. But, you know, par for the course, isn't it? So we'll have a chat about it. Gareth Roberts, Kev Walsh, Paul Cope. How are you feeling about it, Kev, so far?
I'm relaxed about it. I think we'll absolutely tonk them. They're a decent team and they've got a good defensive record, as we just discussed off air there, but we're absolutely brilliant and we're coming into a rich vein of form, so I can't see them stopping us, to be honest. So yeah, stop panicking, everyone.
Yeah, fifth best. That's been the preview show. 5th best defensive record in the Premier League with 19 conceded in 17 games. You just said then, Kopi, that seems like loads. Because, you know, Liverpool have only conceded 7.
It's nuts, isn't it? It's nuts that we're in that position now where we're like, it's always like I'm dead cocky about it. We've only conceded 19. Yeah, but like I suppose in the grand scheme of things, when they were coming up, if they got told after this many games they'd only conceded 19, they'd be made up, wouldn't they? Yeah. So they've done really well to be where they are in the league and what they've achieved, and even the results against other teams in the top 6, they've done pretty well. So. Yeah, I understand why there's nervousness about it, but the reality is, if you're going to get nervous about this game, you're going to be shitting yourself about every game between now and the end of the season.
It's the nature of a title challenge, that, isn't it? Every game's going to be like this. Now, we could be playing the blind skew and we'd all be shitting ourselves because we need the 3 points, but that's what it is at the stage of the season, isn't it?
Exactly, and I think your attitude is well the best. Like, for everyone's personal health, if not else. Like, you can't get between now and the end of the season if we're going to try and win the league and be like this and stressed, it'll kill you. So, at the end of the day, these are the games we have to win. You've got to be going to Wolves and winning if you want to win the league. We can't afford to drop points. And they're a team that wants to play. And whenever we play a team like that, I'm fairly confident.
Yeah, they've played 5 matches against the top 6 so far, beaten only once. That was at home to Tottenham. And even then, they came back and gave Spurs a little bit of a scare. It ended up a 3-2 defeat after being 3 goals down. Chelsea were beaten at Molineux. United were held at Old Trafford. And City and Arsenal both needed late equalisers to earn 1-1 draws. I mean, there's bits of luck in there as well, though. You know, like we talk about, or lots of other people talk about Liverpool being lucky this season. That City game is constantly referenced as a reason why Wolves are decent. Yeah. But it was a handball for the goal. And so, you know, like City could probably say we were unlucky that day. They were a bit lucky. It wasn't like they blew City away and that we should be going, you know, oh shit, they're good at playing top 6 sides.
The thing is, though, they've done that to City and that's fine, but City have had an off day there. That's all that's happened. It's not. I think that's a lot less to do with how Wolves have played than it is to do with how City have played to get that result there. Because Tottenham, as you say, were 3-0 up there. Huddersfield beat them at home, I think, as well, didn't he? So, listen, they've got a good record against the top 6. There's no denying that. But the thing is, we're not the top 6, we're the top 1. And we're playing like that now as well at the moment. As you said, Kopi, if they start playing football against us, it's game over for them. If they get that confidence in them that they think they can pass it around our midfield, you absolutely can't do that. It's impossible. You've got to try and pick an avenue to get at us. Unfortunately for Liverpool so far, no one's found it. So I'd hope it continues like that on Friday. The only thing I would say is, as you said before, under the lights type, that atmosphere, especially with it being Mad Friday, the last one before Christmas. If it was 12:30 Saturday, I'd probably fancy us even more to do them. Friday night, 8 o'clock, the ground's going to be as pissed as it's possible to be. It's going to be the Friday before Christmas. Yeah. So the atmosphere will be great for both teams. But I'd say that if there is anything to point to them having maybe an advantage, it is the fact that the home advantage on a Friday night just before Christmas, the atmosphere is going to be booming, you would imagine.
I mean, if there's any sort of advantage for Wolves, the advantage for us is what we've just said before, and that every game now is so important because we're top of the league. We want to stay there. We're playing before Manchester City this weekend as well. We get the opportunity to extend a 1-point lead into a 4-point one. And, you know, we talk constantly, haven't we, about the idea of how can we start to get into City's head. Well, hopefully a 4-point lead would do that. So all the Liverpool players and the Liverpool manager and the Liverpool fans are all going to go there going, it's absolutely vital that not only we just, you know, don't go there for a draw, we've got to go there for the win to make another statement.
Yeah, I don't think there's a single game we don't go into now not wanting to win. And it comes back to the defence point. We've said title winning teams are built on defences. Simple as that. And this is a title winning defence now. And the Spurs game there, 3-0 up. I don't see this team now, and this might change and we might have a blip or whatever. I don't see this team blowing leads anymore. I don't see this team being fragile under that pressure that Kev's talking about, that atmosphere. We'll go into that game and Klopp will say, yeah, they're going to throw everything at you for the first 15 minutes. Withstand that. Take control of the match and they'll blow themselves out at the end of the day. The City game's a perfect example. Like if you look back at that, City should have easily won that game. It was such a freak result. I think they hit the woodwork 3 times. So it comes back to the same thing we often talk about, which is moments in football matches. That game could have been City winning 3-1 and Wolves scored with a handball goal and no one's bothered about it. It doesn't matter. So I wouldn't let that get into people's heads as a sign that they can do something against us. Same as it usually is. I love that we're the top one. At the end of the day, we play to our best, they play to their best. I said against United, we win. So it's all on our performance. Don't need to worry about them.
Okay, well, in a minute, I'm going to do something a little bit different with the show in that I'm going to talk about what people are saying about it, because what I did just before we started is I put out a tweet just saying, how is everyone feeling about it? Because it seems a lot of people, some people are absolutely confident, like Kev, which is, to me is the way you would be. Other people are seemingly very nervous about it. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But before that, we went to Wolves earlier on in the year. We spoke to a Wolves fan. We got a bit of a sense of what Wolverhampton's about. So here's our little video from when we went to Wolves. Wolverhampton Wanderers then, Molineux. A long time since Liverpool have been here. The last time, and I'm going to look it up for you, 2012, January. Kenny Dalglish, the manager. Liverpool won 3-0. Andy Carroll, Craig Bellamy and Dirk Kuyt on target on the Tuesday night there. Time before that we won 3-0 here as well, and then you're going back quite a few years, a couple of draws at Molineux. Nice looking stadium. We've been around a lot of sort of modern looking bowls that look like they've been knocked up in 5 minutes, but this is a traditional looking ground. Looks great. If you want to be a part of the away end in a ground like this, and the home fans here are passionate as well. It's a city with only one club in it, so everyone supports Wolves, and we're going to go and find out from a Wolves fan, is there anywhere we should be drinking, is there anything we should be looking at, and also what do they think about us, what do they think about Scousers, what do they think about Liverpool, what do they think about the city. We're going to ask them all that now.
From the Wolves fancast, been supporting Wolves 23 years. It is a massive family club, it always has been. It isn't like a massive city like Manchester, Liverpool, London, that sort of thing. It's been in the middle of the country. We've got fans from all over the country who come most weeks. The only thing I've noticed is even when there's a hard times, like we're into like League One, we're still getting sort of 20,000, touching 30,000 some games in League One. It is one of them sort of clubs when the going's good. It's massive around the 12th. The fans are the 12th man when the things are going well. When things are going bad, obviously the attentism's still there, but the fans are really fickle when it gets bad. Going back to sort of 3 or 4 seasons ago, we were signing players like Adam Lafondra and Yannick Sagbo on loan, and on like deadline day, and you're thinking, Jesus, we're struggling here, and now we're being linked to sort of, well, obviously we've already got the likes of Ruben Neves and Diogo Jota. It's only an upward march at the moment. We just need to get ourselves consolidated in the Premier League this season and then go again next season. I think it's massive. You've got to be in the Premier League nowadays, otherwise you're just a number in the Football League ladder. Good memories, obviously, the last time we played during the FA Cup. Looking back at the teams that was both put, I think obviously it wasn't your strongest team, but I mean the likes of like Coutinho played, and I think like Sturridge come on, I think maybe. Seeing like 8,000-9,000 Wolves fans opposite to the Kop giving it large after a massive win was quite memorable. It's smug. You like just smug, but it's entitled smugness. I can't fool you. 5 European Cups, it's entitled smugness. But you can't fool the club. I've always liked about Liverpool is they always have like a nucleus of English players in this, and then they have the good foreign players that come in. Going back to the things I remember most from Liverpool growing up was just daft players like Rigobert Song and Titi Kamara, daftly up at Sander Westerveld, just players like that. before the match, I think like the away pub is the Blue Brick, which is it's easily walking distance to the ground. It's literally two goal kicks away from the ground. Nice, decent pub restaurant. In the actual city centre yourself, it's a bit restricted in regards to where away fans are allowed in, especially like wearing colours and whatnot. Sort of student bars like the Royal London or Dog and Doublet got decent like booze and jukebox, that if you like that sort of thing. Food wise, there's take your pick. You got your basics, McDonald's, Nando's, all that sort of thing.
Okay, thanks to Blag, Danny Murphy and Wolverhampton there. Yeah, this Twitter thing then, we're giving this a bit of a go this time around. So I asked Twitter earlier, you know, how are you feeling about it? What's the mood? So here's a few of the replies and then I'll get the lads' thoughts on it. So Dave Butler, he says, it's hard to know until we see the team. I'd be concerned if we made as many changes as we did at Burnley, but if we go full whack, I fancy us to win by a couple. Someone else says the Vaz26X. Snappy. They've not lost to any top 6 team except Spurs. Massive game, we go again. Adam Mannion, lots of people mentioning this, so I guess we are going to have to talk about this. It says, shite now that Lovren has jinxed us. Plus their record against the top 6 at home is pretty good, will be tough. Swivelhead says it'll be tough, they're a good side, but we're in title form and we have enough guile to get the points. Peter Bedson says 3-0 Stroll, it'll be sorted after 70 minutes. Bart Hobson, I'm nervous, but that's not new, I'm nervous before every game. Mark Simpson, any team that's tried to play footy against us, we've beaten them, they'll try, and that's good. It'll be a 2 or 3-0 win. Thoughts on what you heard there, Catherine? The Lovren thing, I guess we've got to do.
I reckon it'll just be like Swivelhead and just be made up and just we're going to win, aren't we? I'm with you, Swivelhead is right, lads. the Lovren thing's one of them, isn't it? If Virgil van Dijk comes out and says that, everyone goes, he's right, Virgil, yeah, we'll fucking leather everybody. Whereas, because Lovren's done it and he's prone to a gaff, you think, oh, come on, Dejan, just be a little bit more diplomatic. Listen, I understand that it's got no effect on what's going to happen, but he just doesn't. It feels to me that he doesn't need to put that extra pressure on himself. But as you said off here, different players have different ways of motivating themselves, and it's clear that Lovren feels he reacts best under an immense amount of pressure, because that's certainly what he puts himself under. But if he backs himself and he comes out the other side, there is still swinging, fair play to him.
I mean, so much of everything, Copy, is about sort of the stories you tell yourself, isn't it? And so Lovren's already told himself that he's one of the best defenders in the world. Yeah. Now he's telling him that he's part of a side that he thinks can go unbeaten because Arsenal did, and why not? I mean, what do you make of it? There's a lot of people losing the shit about it.
Well, it's dead interesting because when people listen to this, I've talked with Neil on Talking Reds this morning about this. When people listen to a footballer say something, I think in everyone's heads what they think happens is this. They wake up of a morning and they think, I know what I'm going to do today. Yeah. I'm going to say this. And they start phoning journalists to say, right, so I think we're going to go invincible. That isn't what happens. What's probably happened is someone said to him in an interview, do you think Liverpool could be invincible this season like Arsenal? And his reply is basically quite reasonable. Yes, I think it is a possibility. What do you want him to say?
He gets slaughtered if he said no.
Imagine if he said, no, to be honest, we're playing Wolves away on Friday and I'm shitting myself as well. Have you seen the record? Like,
he'd be hanging up from the Mersey, wouldn't he?
Exactly. So the reality is, no answer he gives to that question is going to please everybody. I'd rather have a team of confident players. There was some great quote this week from the Dortmund lads and saying about what happened to their progression in the first few years under Klopp. And he said, we could see each other getting better together. We could see the development. And we got to a point where we thought we were going to beat everyone. Well, you can see that happening with this team now. I'd rather have that. That's how you win titles. Definitely. You go into games against Wolves and you go, no, we're better than them, we should beat them. That's what, but I know people always say, bang on about Man United. That's exactly what United and Ferguson did. There's loads of stories now, sort of in sort of legend and folklore, of Ferguson just coming in his team talk just being like, you're playing Wolves, Spurs today. That's the famous one, isn't it? Yeah. You're playing Spurs today, and that's it. Just go and beat them, and they do. And I think the sooner we get into that mindset, that mentality, that it's fine for a defender to say, yeah, I think we can, I think we will. Brilliant. I want us to be confident. I want us to think we can win the league.
But now it's like, from if to play devil's advocate for a minute, the flip side is that you've got a lot of people now who are like fuming about it and all that. And should we not get a result, it's like, oh, well, it's fucking Lovren then, innit? He should have kept his mouth shut.
Well,
and it's like,
that's the other side of it.
Yeah.
I've said he's not that powerful. As far as I know, like again,
he's not the second coming.
It maybe he is. Like, this is the thing, Kev.
I reckon if you asked him, he'd say yeah. Yeah, I am. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Bigger than the Beatles, definitely.
Yeah, there we go. And so maybe he does. Maybe he does have this power. And maybe if we want, like, at the end of my life, I'll look back and go, God, yeah, it was Dejan Lovren controlling the universe. if that's the case, then maybe we're screwed. I don't think that is probably right.
Okay, should we do a couple more tweets? I was going to do the last 5, but which we always do. I still will do it, but I quite like this. Mark Keeley says he's shitting a confident brick.
It's right, Mark.
Was that a good or a bad thing?
Well, it's got confidence in there,
so we'll take it,
yeah. Yeah, I'll have it.
I can't find the absolute classic, which, because I've had 100 replies here. But basically, we got one earlier on this thread where the lad basically said, have you done that logical cunts video yet with you and Cope where you're just logical cunts? Apologies for the language, he used it, not me. But yeah, anyway, what else have we got? Loads of emojis, stuff like that. Someone says they feel great. Someone else says they're a bit nervy. Someone says Wolves play attacking football and we play better attacking football. Only one result here. Mark Roberts had a dream that we got beat 2-0. Come on, lad.
Hold yourself together, Mark.
David Smith says, dominate their midfield. I'd play a 4 in a diamond and allow Salah and Mane to destroy their defence. 3-0.
I'll take that.
You're into that?
Yeah,
specific. I mean, we can do team. That's led us on to team, I guess. Milner's going to be fit by all accounts. Are you dropping him into right back or are you dropping him into midfield?
100% right back, because Klein's played well against Man United, but to put him in for 2 games in like the space of 5 or 6 days for his comeback, I think it's a no-no for me. I think Klopp said himself last week that Klein alluded to the fact that he'd get through on adrenaline rather than his fitness levels, which is understandable. What I would say as well is if they do play football against us and you've got Milner at right back, as we push forward, he becomes an auxiliary centre mid, which just gives one of the other midfielders, probably Keita, I'd imagine, licenses to push forward, and you can make either a 4 or maybe even a 5 going forward, because you've got Milner who's so adaptable and is willing to do so much running. At right back, I think he's the perfect fit, because I think he'll play a lot of his game in the middle of the pitch anyway, even if he is right back.
Doing the same, Kobe? Yeah,
probably. I think it's probably generally accepted, isn't it, that when players come back from that long out, they can have a game where they're incredible. Yeah. And then you can see that just almost falling off a cliff where you're like, oh, this makes more sense now. He hasn't played for a year. So yeah, I'd be inclined, especially because you don't know what's going to happen over the Christmas period and you might need him. So I'd be inclined to do the same thing.
What about Shaqiri? Given his cameo against United, are you starting him?
Yeah, well, this is the interesting thing. The midfield now, which looks so strong, and whatever he picks, it seems so strong. I wouldn't be surprised if he played the same midfield as he did, because they've had plenty of rest, and this is because of the size of this game, and in the run of games we've got, you would think on paper this is tougher than Newcastle at home. Now that might not work out to be the case, because as a few people have said, it's an attacking team. And we often play better against attacking teams. We know what Rafa can do, shutting up shop. We might actually struggle at home. So he might look at that and think, I actually need more of the lads who can unpick locks against Rafa. So I don't know, it's dead interesting. It's dead interesting because you don't know who he wants to pick against Arsenal and City. Yeah. And I think that's how managers will generally plan out these runs of games, is they'll look at that and work backwards.
But he's got a nice problem, which I think Kofi's alluding to now, in that, all of a sudden now Fabinho was brilliant against United, and no one's bothered now if he's starting a match. No one's having that conversation anymore where they're like, I'm not sure he's any good, or I'm not sure he's good enough, or I wouldn't want to see him there. Yeah. Everyone's just like, is he playing again, boss? He was great against United.
I think the thing is, you might get people actually moaning. I wouldn't be overly surprised to see him dropped out of this game with City and Arsenal in mind, because I think now, I said it on the show the other day, that if we were to play European Cup final tomorrow and everyone was fit, I think his midfield would be Fabinho, Wijnaldum and Keita, because if they're on top form, I think that's our best midfield now. So Henderson's had the week off, basically. Did he come on late on against United? So I think you'll probably see him starting again tomorrow, put him in the midfield, and I keep saying Wijnaldum looks like he might need a rest, but he's like the George Bunny, he just never stops, doesn't he? So they've got the sports science information, so they'll know whether he does need rest. And I'd imagine he probably doesn't, so I could see Fabinho maybe being taken out. I would leave Keita in there though, because I think he's coming into a little bit of form now, and he seems to be playing himself into it. Stopping and starting him, I don't think is the right thing for him, which is unfortunate for Shaqiri really, because that removes one of the positions that he can play in. But what I would say is, if you swap Mane for Shaqiri, I don't think you're going to lose a great deal going forward. So if you're all looking to get Shaqiri in there and maybe give someone a rest, that's probably the one I'd go for.
There's also the thing, though, that he's impactful as a sub, isn't he? So it's like, you know, although from his point of view, he's probably thinking, well, I've scored 2 there, I'm surely getting a start. Klopp might be thinking, well, yeah, and you were great coming off the bench when everyone was a bit knackered and adding some, you know, impetus to the way Liverpool were playing at that time.
Well, I think this is a dead interesting topic, because I think we all assume that people who become amazing substitutes aren't satisfied with that. They want to play from the start. But surely there's an element of some players, and maybe not Shaqiri, maybe he's not this, maybe
Definitely
he just
not
wants to
David
play 90.
Fairclough.
Yeah,
he hates it,
yeah. But I heard, this is maybe a strange comparison, but I heard Phil Neville get asked once about what he felt about being a utility player, and did he hate that because he never nailed down a position. He said the opposite. He said, no, I absolutely loved it, because I got well more games playing for United and Everton by being able to play in multiple positions than I would have got if I'd have just said, no, I'm just a right back or whatever position I pick. And I had this chat about Henderson after the match last week, that in a similar vein, if you're Jordan Henderson and now you become a squad player for Liverpool, but you stay as club captain, aren't you better off doing that and staying for the next 5 years than you would be going to play every week for West Ham? We saw it with Crouch, and you saw in the interview that you did with Crouch that there's still that bit of regret. You can see it. He said there was no regret, but you could feel it and see it. That, like, if he went back, would he leave, or would he have just stayed and gone, do you know what, I'll play 30 games a year for Liverpool and win a trophy?
That's the key point to it, isn't it? For a player like Henderson and possibly Shaqiri, I think Shaqiri might not. I think he's of a different mindset, a more an attacking mindset. Yeah. But I think that's the key, is if we're winning titles and we're winning European Cups. Listen, at the moment we're on for the League and European Cup double. Now whether that happens or not, you don't know. But if it does, imagine
FA Cup as well, mate.
I was just going to say, still on for the treble.
I'd be putting Bruce Dobler in goal for that Wolves game. So Arsenal, the FA Cup, me, I'm not interested. But if we're winning cups and we're winning titles, players will be willing to play 25, 30 games, because that's 25, 30 games going for the European Cup is well better than 38 games playing for Everton, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? No one wants to do that, but you want to be involved in title challenges, you want to be winning cups. If that's the case, then yeah, with Shaqiri, what I would say is I think he strikes me as a bit of a tortured genius if he's sitting on the bench. Yeah. He made the point the other day of saying, didn't he, I spotted the gaps that were there, which I think he might have meant to say, well, I'm too intelligent to be on the bench, but I read it like you read it. Well, you're a boss sub then. Yeah. And the problem with being a boss sub is you're going to be used as a sub more often. I feel a little bit sorry for him on that, but you're not going to play. We've been lucky last season with the front three. They all stayed relatively fit. They've been relatively fit this season, but you've got to imagine at some point someone's going to get an injury, so he will get his chance in there. But if he keeps playing the way he's playing, he's going to have to find a place in the squad for him, not the squad, in the team for him, because he's been brilliant.
This season's Ronnie Rosenthal, maybe. We'll see. Last 5 games then against Wolves, told you to do it. The last one was in the FA Cup, the 2-1 defeat at Anfield. That was January 2017. Before that, we went to Molineux in 2012 in January, beat them 3-0. September 2011, we beat them 2-1 at Anfield. January 2011, we beat them 3-0 at Molineux, and then December 2010, we lost 1-0 at Anfield. But like I always say, that doesn't count because that was under the Roy Hodgson era, and he's a bellend. Other stuff just to end on then, Wolves have won just one of their 8 Premier League meetings with Liverpool, winning that game at Anfield under Mick McCarthy. Liverpool are unbeaten in each of their last 5 away trips against Wolves, 1-2 drawn 3, keeping a clean sheet in each of their last 3. And we're going to finish up today with Neil on the tactics board, telling you about what Wolves might do in this game. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Nice one to the boys. As usual, listen to the podcast, check out the website. And yeah, have a boss Christmas and that. Up the Reds.
Hello Reds, Merry Christmas. The Christmas period is indeed upon us, and it starts with Wolves away on Friday night. Liverpool go to Molineux, and Wolves have been pretty consistent in their approach right the way through the season. For the first 9 games, they were very, very consistent in their selection. That's become a little bit more liberal of late. So if we look at attack here, I've got them with a 1 and a 2. they've been playing Jota doing little bits here, Gibbs-White doing little bits here. Jimenez has been the constant, pretty much centre forward, maybe these two doing that. But then if they've got Adama Traore, it goes wider and it's more 3-4-3 in that sort of classic little style and shape. Again with Jimenez, may well be Costa or Cavallero there, or Jota, Traore or Jota over here. Realistically, Jota went off injured at half-time in the last game, and I wonder whether or not Wolves may err on the side of caution. He was just coming into some form before his injury, but they may err on the side of caution, I think, because it's obviously the crowded Christmas period. Looking at it, I think it's more likely to be Gibbs-White in behind, who has been impressing. The young man plays for England at under-19 level and is meant to be a real talent. So I think it'll be Gibbs-White there. As I say, I think it'll be Cavallero there, and starting this one, it will be Jimenez. They do have their record signing Traore off the bench, whose end product is always slightly in doubt, but who's more than capable of getting up and down the flank and being really difficult to deal with. And as I say, Jota may well come from the bench if he doesn't start. They've got options in attack is the main thing. The constant is Jimenez. At the back, it's been this all the way through the season, pretty much. You've got Doherty here, you've got Bennett here, who may well come under some pressure soon for his place from Dendoncker. You've got Conor Cody here, who we will all know used to play for Liverpool, and you've got Bowley there. Vinagra's playing this side at this stage of proceedings because Otto's out, and then you've got Moutinho and Neves in the middle. I expect it to be Moutinho and Neves. Neves went off the boil a little bit. I think he found it a little bit tricky to step up, and there's a lot that gets asked of in here. Certainly, if they're doing this, there's a lot of pressure on these two lads in here to do the business. But he's come back to form in recent weeks, and he'll be really looking forward to Friday night to really say he can play in this sort of game against a side like Liverpool. What we do, I mean, we're not really here to talk about that. That could go either way. We may go 4-2-3-1, we may go 4-3-3. What I think's interesting is we've got a good record against sides that play three at the back, and you can well imagine us being able to get right the way up here, force these lads back here because they've got to double up and help, force this player back, force these back to begin to help out there as we come forward. I think it being Friday night at Molineux actually helps Liverpool. And the reason why is all these Wolves players will want to put on a little bit of a show. They'll want to be doing bits and pieces. They've got a crowd roaring them on. And I do wonder whether or not the normal patience they may exhibit in a game like this may be slightly lost amongst the chaos and the carnage. It might actually suit Liverpool to be a little less controlled than they've been recently. It might suit us to give them a little bit of hope in some way, shape or form. They're a good side though, and they're going to take some beating. I think we can be confident of our side at the minute, but this is a really good Wolves team. Their record against the top six is terrific. They got a draw against Manchester City. They got themselves a draw against Arsenal. They went to Old Trafford and got a draw, and they beat Chelsea recently. Tottenham beat them, but it was only 3-2. So I think it's worth remembering that this is going to be a really difficult game, and one where we may well not have it all our own way. This will probably be the battleground here, how these players deal with this threat and how these midfielders, if it is only two in there, deal with what Liverpool can do as they come at them. That's going to be the key area. Listen, this is our last one of these through this calendar year, our last preview. We will be back in time for Manchester City. So just to help out dead quick, this is what Newcastle are going to do. There you go. That's what Newcastle will do for you. This is what Arsenal are going to do. Woo! All these lads will be up here all running around making our lives a nightmare. There you go. There's Arsenal for you. So we've got that one sorted out, broadly speaking, as to who's going to do what there. But you know how this works. There'll be no second looks either, but what there will be on the video, there'll continue to be post-match pints. So thank you very much for being nice throughout the course of the year for so much of the new video content. The post-match pints will still be there. All the audio that you've come to expect for £5 a month will be there. Thank you for watching the YouTube. Thank you for subscribing to the Anfield Wrap. Thank you for paying attention to what we're doing. And thank you for, broadly speaking, not being too mean with me playing around with some counters on a board.